The militarized zone was today expanded a further 10 miles south. The Minister for Home Affairs referred to the continued aggression of the fanatic rebel group Faded Sky for this swift and decisive move to maintain the security of New Britain. The Department for Public Enforcement announced today a curfew of 2100 hours for the cities of Newcastle and
They just don't give up, do they? Started with the roundups and onto the border. What else can they blame on us?
Tell me, mate.
Oh, he can't tell you.
When two underground agents are confronted with a horrific truth, they must race to warn their compatriots of the danger. What you just saw there is a small sneak peek of what we have in store for you. The last film we'll be making as part of our university degree, Faded Sky. A dystopian thriller set in a broken United Kingdom, Faded Sky is at its core a cautionary tale. A tale of what the future may hold if we are not careful. With themes of authoritarianism, tyranny and violence, this is a short film aimed at a mature audience. In writing the script for Faded Sky, I drew inspiration from George Orwell's novel 1984 and Alfonso Cuarón's 2006 film Children of Men. And as well as writing the script, I'm also producing the project. This involves finding the locations we'll be shooting at, casting the actors, recruiting the crew, and other logistics.
With the United Kingdom now collapsed and ruled by a totalitarian regime, two members of the underground organisation Faded Sky face off against an unexpected foe. Our main characters, Sparrow and Mac, make a desperate escape from this cunning conspirator with a nefarious purpose. Our protagonist Sparrow is determined to do her best, but is ruthless enough to lend a sinister edge to her character, perhaps proving that those who rail against the regime are no better than the ones ruling it. Mac, our supporting character, is unwillingly pulled into Sparrow's ruthless quest when she reveals to him a shocking secret that causes his world to collapse. The film has been heavily inspired by the narratives and visuals of many dystopian titles, such as Children of Men, The Aerial and Equilibrium. Faded Sky will introduce audiences to an alternative United Kingdom known as New Britain. We see a dystopian world now comparable to locations like Pripyat and Vorkuta, as homes have been left abandoned with nature reclaiming them. We aim for our audiences to be on the edge of their seats as our characters are left fighting for their lives in a place where no one can help them.
My overall aim for this production is to give depth to the setting and the characters, fully immersing the audience into the dystopian world in which this film is set. I've created floor plans and mood boards showing off the overall look of the film that we want to create. I'll be taking clothing inspiration from different dystopic films such as World War Z and TV show Revolution. I'll be upcycling most of the props and costumes for this production to ensure the film is made as sustainably as possible.
The goal for this film is to make you think more about the direction we're headed in the next few years. What is the dystopia that we could be facing with the continuation of war, the climate crisis, governmental collapse and propaganda? I feel it's important to shoot this film with sustainability at the centre. Using as much natural light as possible will mean less equipment, which is more sustainable, but also lends itself to the narrative of the film. I think shooting with natural light as well will just give that sense of realism and have a bigger impact on the audience. We want to shoot the film as if we are in the dystopia and we're just documenting it. The biggest visual influence for me is Children of Men. I really like the way it was shot with very minimal lighting, especially with such a big budget. I really want to pull from the colour palette of Children of Men with the browns and yellows, as I think it will really contribute to the narrative of the film.
The film's sound design will follow in the dystopic language that Joe has written his script in. A lot of empty space, conveying that sense of this decaying, hopeless universe that the characters inhabit. Music will be sparse, but when used it will only be for those pivotal moments in the script, affecting the greatest sense of tension and anguish from those scenes.
First and foremost, for any thriller and action film, pacing is the quality-defining factor, especially since Faded Sky is bound to have a lot of scenes where the two characters are being pursued by an agent sent by the regime to execute them. I want the scenes to look highly dynamic and convey the feelings of chaos, while including those critical shots needed to clarify the narrative progression of the scene and at the same time create a sense of credibility. The dystopian backdrop is an inseparable part of Faded Sky, tightly tied to the environmental state of the world in which the story takes place. I want to take my time and let the audience soak in the atmosphere of this world and make it as convincing as possible. I plan to prioritize wide, long establishing shots with minimal cutting when presenting a new location, and generally hold back on the cutting when I can. It's my job as an editor to make you invested in this fictional world and hope that our depiction of said world can bring awareness to the real dangers of climate change and other global economic and social conditions.
Once completed, our film will be entered onto the festival circuit in the summer of this year and will be released publicly once its run at the various short and student film festivals has been completed. All funds we raise for this film will be directed into securing our locations, travel and possible accommodation costs, buying and making costumes and props, as well as entering the final product into film festivals upon its completion. We're asking a simple question with this film. When someone discovers their actions and efforts for a worthy cause were meaningless, how far would they go to find meaning?